Right. OM-1 is better than E-M1X. No, it is not a joke. Hi, my name is Cheng, a London-based professional photographer and filmmaker. Last year, I've done a first look at OM Systems' new OM-1's RAW file at high ISO. Today, I want to show you this camera's new subject tracking capability and why it is a vastly improved system over the E-M1X. In this video, I'll be looking at some of the subject tracking modes, well, at least things that I can track around my area, such as birds, cars, and four-legged things. The latter will come as a surprise, which I'll talk about it later. While it's hard to do a side-by-side comparison with my E-M1X, I'll have to rely on my experience with this particular camera here and to tell you the differences between the two. But if you haven't seen my E-M1X firmware 2.0 update video, when I demonstrated how the AI tracking worked on birds, the link is up here. And anyway, OM-1's new AI subject tracking is faster, more accurate, and for the first time, allows you to use the AF points to prioritize which bird or any subjects that you want to focus on, instead of the computer. The OMD E-M1X is a beast of a camera, very powerful and still holds its ground when it comes to speed and reliability. Yet, the AI subject tracking is only effective when the subject is isolated. The system can get overwhelmed when there are simply lots of them, for instance, birds. And because the AI overrides the selected AF point or AF group, and you simply have no control on which bird you want to focus on. But OM Systems' latest OM-1 has finally fixed this, and you can now use the selected AF point or AF group to prioritize the area of focus. So if the bird go outside of the AF area, the camera won't focus on them, even when the AI recognizes or even highlights it. So you now have control back, if you wish, but you can still use the wide area for focus and let the AI decide for birds in flight, for instance, in an isolated cases, which I'll talk about it a little bit more in detail later. But this update makes the entire tracking system vastly more flexible and critically controllable. The new graphics is also more sophisticated. Instead of having that thick line white box around the subject, you now have a thinner line white box. And OM also ditches the horrible big green square box that you see in a continuous AF tracking mode, in exchange with a tiny white square to highlight either the head or the eye, so just making the whole viewing experience much more fluid and less cluttered. And overall, the new OM-1 AI tracking interface makes the E-M1X system looks a little bit primitive and dated. I kind of mentioned about the differences already, but tracking birds on the OM-1 is easier, and even for a non-bird photographer myself. But apart from my obsession with pigeons, the new system doesn't require too much effort to get a good shot. On the E-M1X, however, while the system can be very effective, you need to have at least some experience in shooting the chosen subject in order to maximize the result. I also find that the new smaller AF point really helps in nailing the eyes of the animals too, as the birds and other four-legged things can move very quickly and random in directions. And I often find that the E-M1X system has a little lag. So while the shot is in focus, it's hard to tell when you are tracking the animal, as the white box is always following behind the subject instead of boxing it in while it's in motion. But the new BSI Sensor's 240 frames readout, coupled with the TruePic X processor, the user interface is finally able to keep up with everything. And you can see that the tracked subject is now completely boxed in and no longer behind it. And as a result, the new AI subject tracking on the OM-1 finally gives me the confidence while I'm shooting birds or other moving subjects. The OM-1 has 5 AI subject tracking modes, and out of all of them, I would say the most difficult one to track are birds, then the four-legged things, then cars, planes, and finally trains. Well, while I don't have any trains to track around here, and I find planes are a little too boring to photograph, I choose cars as my next demo. Well, previously on the E-M1X, the AI would box up the car, and again, that green tracking box would try to find the driver. And for some reasons, perhaps I have not done it right. All I could see from the OM-1 is the white box surrounding the entire car. And I've tried it a few times, but no drivers were highlighted. But I'm just being picky here because at that sort of distance, the whole car and everything within it will be in focus anyway. And I guess if I get closer to the car and the driver is a bit more prominent, the system may be able to detect it. But anyway, it is accurate and I have no problem tracking any cars, and all sorts of shots that I've done so far are all in focus. Right, this is the highlight of today's video. The OM-1's new AI tracking includes a brand new mode, the four-legged things, or officially calls the cats and dogs mode. As the name suggests, it recognizes cats and dogs. But what surprises me though is that it even recognizes any four-legged things, including squirrels. Well, I spent the entire morning looking for cats and dogs for this video as a demo, but I couldn't see any. But what I saw was some squirrels came out to play while I was filming. So out of curiosity, I pointed the camera to them and bam! To my surprise, a white box appeared and the system even recognizes the eyes too. And as you know, the squirrel moves really quickly, so I had to bump up the ISO in order to freeze the motion. And the improved raw performance I mentioned in my previous video really shows here. I didn't push it really high, but at ISO 800, I'm getting some sharpness that I didn't see before. And the noise pattern is similar, but gosh, that details. And yeah, you can see from here. Just look at the fur on the squirrel. And by the way, this image hasn't got any heavy noise reductions or anything like that. It's simple, box standard contrast and white balance adjustment. And just left it as is, just to show you guys. So you can see that this is bloody amazing. Not only the tracking works fantastically well, the hit rate seems to have improved too. Okay, to be fair, that I didn't machine gun the camera, but with all the photos I got while testing for this video, I found my hit rate to be well over 95%. And I would probably go as far as 99% if I only count those that were tracked and locked. And because there were a few shots that the subject simply went outside of the focus point or group, so that won't be fair to be included. All in all, I found that the new AI tracking is, well, at least to me, a much improved version of the one on the E-M1X. Another thing is, despite the X's bigger EVF, the new high resolution and faster OLED EVF on the OM-1 offers a completely new experience. And the combination of faster processor and sensor also give the whole AI tracking more reliable and accurate. And the ability to track, albeit unofficially, any four-legged things is a nice touch too. So if you ask me, should you upgrade to the OM-1? Or if you're new to Micro Four Thirds but wants the best subject tracking machine, and I would definitely recommend the OM-1. But if you already have the X, well, and that would depend on how much you rely on the AI automation to do the work for you. But remember that the OM-1 is also a camera that has a brand new sensor that gives better result at high ISO too. Heck no, I'm not selling you the OM-1, but the thing is, the more I use the camera, the more I fall in love with it. And over the next few weeks, you'll continue to see a lot of OM-1 videos in various different aspects. And I will eventually conclude my full review based on all these little experiments I've done. So stay tuned if you want to learn more about this fantastic camera and how it performs and compare to the E-M1 Mark III, X, or even the OG and classic E-M1 Mark II in the future. And that's it today. And let me know what your thoughts about the AI subject tracking on the OM-1 and share your experience if you already used it on the E-M1X. And you know what to do now. Sub if you want to stay in touch with all things photography, filmmaking, and of course, OM system. Peace. Thank you for watching. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the my recent OM-1 content, because I am still learning about this thing. It's very different, you know, in many ways, because the menu has changed. So like I had to kind of readjust myself I know people have been complaining about how complicated or how cluttered the old not OM, the Olympus menu system was, but the truth is, it's all about how much you use it and how familiar with it. Yeah. So now I learned and basically know the inside out of this camera, the older menu. It comes as no surprise. Now the new system completely shocked me. It is, very similar in a way they move things from vertical to horizontal, very Canon-like, or Sony-like. But the thing is, it's the same. It's just a menu. You just have to keep using it and familiarize yourself with where everything is. And over time, you just simply learn to do it. Yeah, but I have no reason to believe why everybody always complain about different menu system. It's about how much you use it. I suppose if for reviewers, if they keep moving from one system to another every 2 weeks, or for anybody who switches system every year, and yeah, that will obviously not very good because you have to learn everything from scratch. But for those who've been using it for years, like me, I've been using Canon for 16 years. Then when I switched to Olympus, and I used it for like last 5 years, 6 years now, and yeah, I just get used to it. So like, there's nothing wrong with it. It just works, right? And but yeah, the new one is completely new. This whole menu system. So I still have to learn about a lot of stuff. But over time, I'm going to continue doing all these experiments and all these little comparisons. And so you're going to see a lot of contents from me. And if you like them, remember to, stay tuned for all these little contents that I create. And yeah, wait for my full review on the EM1, or not EM1, the OM1, because it is big. To me, it's wow. And there's definitely a lot to talk about this camera. And I really don't want to rush it. And I want to show you a lot of nice stuff as well, not just about random tests here and there as well. In the overall review, I'm going to show you a lot of cinematic stuff, out of nice pictures that I accumulate, and I just don't want to do it. And remember, I'm doing this for free. There's no support anywhere from OM, and I'm not getting paid to promote the stuff. And I even buy my own camera. They didn't give it to me or lend it to me. And this is my own camera here. So this is something really important to understand. And I really do treasure this one as much as also another one I bought. This is E-M1X that I bought with my own money. And so like, these cameras are fantastic tool for my job. And like I mentioned earlier, the E-M1X has been phenomenal. It's super reliable, and like I still use it for a lot of my jobs because it's just simply indestructible. But the OM1, the new one, is simply fantastic in many ways. I love the new files. Yeah, although that at this moment in time, at time of filming this video, there's still not many raw editors out there that supports it. So I just have to wait a little bit. That's why I haven't really been using it for any of my pro jobs at the moment, because I can't process them properly, or at least the way that I want anyway. So I'm still using my the E-M1 Mark III and the E-M1X for that. Anyway, enough of that. I'll see you all next time. And remember to stay tuned and keep healthy, stay active, go and shoot more. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.